Hello friends, I did it! I finally read another book. This is Death in Her Hands by Ottessa Moshfegh. This is the third book that I've read from this author, and I really enjoyed it. I do feel like her books are sometimes hard to recommend because they are a little meandering. They're not very plot heavy for the most part, and they're all relatively weird. But I'm really into that shit. I love weird women, obsessive women, so this was right up my alley. This book is about Vesta. She's a 72-year-old widow who lives alone in a cabin in the woods, and one day when she's walking her dog, she comes across a note that says, "Her name was Magda. No one will ever know who killed her. It wasn't me. Here is her dead body." And so I'm in immediately. I'm hooked. But as is the case with a lot of this author's books, this is a very unreliable narrator, which is another thing I personally really enjoy. And I really do enjoy a lot of her characters, despite some of them being pretty unlikable, but you spend most of her books inside of your main character's head, which I think is really interesting. There's not a lot of dialogue. Again, a lot of her books aren't super plot heavy. They're just very interesting, character studies. A lot of her characters, as is the case with Vesta in this one, are kind of miserable. And, she's recently widowed, so, give her some grace. But she immediately, starts spiraling about this note that she found, just making up stories and going down rabbit holes that may or may not really exist. And ultimately, you as the reader kind of go along this journey with Vesta, where she's really grappling with ideas and themes of loneliness and loss and grief. There's a lot of reflections about her life and how much or how little control she had over it. Obviously, this book deals very heavily with death and grief, like I've said, as well as just exploring the idea of mortality and being confronted with it. And there's this kind of overarching question of how much of the stories that we tell ourselves are true and how much can they actually shape our reality. I really like books that are contemplative like that and things that I kind of have to sit with for a little bit afterwards to really digest. I still think My Year of Rest and Relaxation is my favorite, but this is definitely a very close second. I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So if you think this is something you would enjoy, I do highly recommend this one, or check out My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Again, I also really enjoyed that one quite a lot. But I'm excited to dive